Balance can be defined as an even distribution of weight enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. It is a synonym to words like stability and equilibrium. When it comes to anything, whether it be riding a bike, walking a tightrope, or thinking, balance is critical to keep moving forward without falling. All things function the same. We can look to principles of balance from our everyday life to apply the lessons they teach us to balancing our thoughts. When we are born, we are rooted to the ground. As we grow, we learn to crawl, and then to stand, and then to walk and run. At a young age, we struggle to be steady and sure-footed. But as we grow, we master sufficient balance so as to walk and run with ease. However, the circumstances still dictate whether we have gained sufficient honing to succeed. When our weight is evenly distributed across a stable and flat ground, like in most places on land, then there is nothing drawing us out of balance. But when we are on more precarious grounds, like walking a tightrope, our mastery of our balance can be relatively like that of an infant once more. Lo, we can grow to have balance even in these settings. When most of our weight is distributed over what we are walking on, we are more balanced than if we are walking over something narrower. As a surface gets smaller, we do not experience drastic loss of balance until it reaches a critical point of narrowness, like walking along a mountain ridge that is as narrow as we ourselves are. In these instances, such as walking a tightrope, it can become useful or even necessary to have something to stabilize our weight distribution. As a result, we can carry balancing poles for improving our capacity to maintain equilibrium. In such cases, it is necessary that the pole itself be balanced in our hands. If we are carrying it from one end, its weight will all be to one side and we will more easily be sent out of balance. In our physical experiences, it is easy for us to recognize that we have fallen out of balance because we fall. As a result, we can appreciate the benefits of correcting for whatever it is we were doing that created the imbalance. In our minds, however, the results are more subtle. When we lose balance, we can influence others as we fall. What initially may be a single rock tumbling down the side of a mountain can cascade into a large landslide. We can create such vast effects that they reshape the landscape of how we think societally. When it comes to our understanding of the cosmos, as we progress towards explaining more and more using less and less, it is like climbing to a mountain peak. At first, there is a vast amount of even ground at the same level, like at the base of a mountain, but as we climb, the cross-section at each position gets smaller and smaller. As a result, the different paths we can safely take become less and less and more treacherous and difficult. In this, if we fall, we can pull others down with us. As we go, the footing becomes less and less effortless and much more like walking a tightrope. As a result, where we hold the balancing pole of reality becomes essential. Reality itself is balanced. However, if we grab it off-center, its weight will make the climb impossible and we will tip over and fall. Using several models in physics as examples, we can determine the point of contact based on what is considered most important. For example, quantum mechanics is developed from a focus specifically on the smallest particles. The logic of this approach is that smallness is an aspect of being more fundamental. From this point of view, larger systems are composed of smaller ones and are thus more complex than smaller particles. The observations that are most critical to deciphering the nature of reality, then, are those which are specifically related to the mechanics of smaller particles. As a result of this approach, our balancing pole of reality is held at these smaller positions. We then conclude that reality is illogical in nature, functioning in ways that are counterintuitive and surreal, ways that do not match what we see with our own eyes. It is important to note that this viewpoint is built on a foundational assumption that smaller is more fundamental. This strongly hinges on the existence of the theoretical system known as an elementary particle, the smallest building block particles of which everything is composed. However, if there is no such particle, then the complexity of each system, from the smallest observed to the largest, is equal. The conclusions of quantum mechanics are therefore resultant from misplaced handholds on the balancing pole of reality. In the same manner, general relativity and the Big Bang models are centrally built from observations that are off-center. Rather than focusing on the smallest of observations, these are founded on the largest scaled observations we have made. As a result, they lead to added complexities that are incoherent with a simple and elegant understanding. In each case, the handholds on the balancing pole of reality are misplaced. To maintain our balance, it is necessary to center our approach. It is neither the small nor the large through which we should begin the process of deciphering the underlying nature of reality, but rather in between, at precisely the center, what we can see with our own eyes. We are the ground level, and the Earth is the most representative system through which we can deduce the nature of all other particles in the cosmos. The reason for this is because it is the least approximated. With what we can see with our own eyes and experience with our own senses, we are most able to decipher with exactness that our interpretation is highly representative of the reality of the system. When we analyze systems we cannot directly observe, we lose many degrees of exactness, and the systems become such faint shadows of what they truly are through our utter approximations of them that our interpretations are no longer even remotely related to their true nature. If we use such approximations to then attempt to understand everything else, we just exacerbate the errors to such a high degree that the interpretations are no longer any semblance of the true nature of what we aim to understand. Only through balance can we climb to the top of the mountain and not waver. In this way, we follow a bottom-up approach. We are the ground level. The most balance can be achieved on the sturdy ground of understanding that is built from our own senses, which are the cornerstone to building our house of understanding. When we start from the ground level and construct a house, it is sturdy and can be built to withstand earthquakes, storms, and other tumultuous events that come to pass. When we build toward one end of the spectrum or the other, it is like building a house in the sky with a top-down approach. It will inherently be less stable and unable to withstand all outside influences that come its way. In such a case, it is only a matter of time before the final straw that breaks the camel's back is placed and the house collapses from its unstable setting. Thus, a balanced approach is necessary for all things. Whether it be the understanding of physics, riding a bike, or any other aspect of life, in all things, balance allows us to see clearly and move forward without faltering.